is Ted Flett of Golden Skate, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Canadian silver medalists and Olympians, Harper Gilles and Paul Poirier. Thanks for chatting with us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, coming off obviously a big season, making the Olympic team, making up for the shortfall in 2014.
Yep.
How did that feel, being there in Pyeongchang and competing?
Both of us worked so hard for that moment, and I think because we didn't make it in 2014, I think it was that much sweeter. We came back from not making that games, like we had a fire in our souls, like that was something we never wanted to feel again, and I think we really pushed ourselves to do something new, and having James Bond as our vehicle was it was a great choice for us, especially when we made the move right beforehand, which was a little risky. We made the right decision for ourselves, and we stuck with it, and it was an amazing experience,
right.
And it makes you want to go again.
So during the season, you were both very upbeat and positive and optimistic about the change in free dance.
Yeah.
Now that season's over.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you that was like, what are we doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Panic.
Was it panic? Yeah?
Yeah.
A bit of a panic.
A lot of last season felt a bit scrambly. I think, and I'm sure everyone's in the same boat where you're trying to do absolutely everything in your power to ensure yourself the best outcome possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes things that you plan don't go the way you want them to. Sometimes they don't have the effect you want them to, and you can't know that going in, right? So I think it was definitely terrifying going through that process, but I think in the end you sort of just have to have peace with the decisions that you've made and just own them.
You weren't the only team or skaters last year to do a bit of a swapperoo.
Yeah.
But most, if not all, went back to old programs or they pulled something else off the shelf. You created something brand new.
Yeah.
How do you actually even shoehorn that into what's already a really tight schedule?
Well, for us, it's like people asked us, would you go back to the tango? It was actually an option, and Paul and I never want to go backwards. We're always a team about moving forward and creating something different from ourselves. And luckily, we liked the structure of our program last year with the Perry Mason. Obviously, just the music didn't have the impact. So when we finished Skate America, we kind of just sat in the car and we were like, okay, what's the best option? What are our options here? We want to keep the program structure. What kind of music do you think will go with the music or the program that we already have? And so we were like, okay, spy. What's spy? We were like, oh, maybe James Bond, but we didn't want it to be gimmicky. So, I think we stuck to our guns because we knew the choreography was right. It was just we needed the music to have the impact.
Right.
So
And to carry the emotion of the piece.
Yeah, and so once we kind of got over that fear of changing it, and we brought the music into the rink, and we just started skating to it and putting the same program to it, and it was just like, oh, okay, it was kind of like, oh, this actually could work. And Carol was gone, but Eurus was there, and she didn't see it yet, and so she came back a week later after we played with it, and it just, you could see where we could go with it, so it wasn't so scary once you physically started skating to the music, and the idea started to come to play. So sometimes I feel like we have to just open our mindset, because sometimes you get lost in the middle of the season and you're like, I like my program, what's wrong? How do I fix it? And so sometimes you have to step back and not be as invested in your program and look at what you need to do. And I think we did that really well, and that's an experience, something that we're gonna have to put in our back pocket just in case it happens again. But I mean, we took it as a challenge, and it paid off.
Yeah. Who was the first one to say, I think this free dance isn't working?
I think all of us.
Yeah.
Really?
It was a very much a shared sentiment, and we even had Carol was at Skate America with us, and we had a chat with her after, and she just very clearly said, you guys need to do whatever will give you the best peace of mind going into the second half of the season. So if that's going to an old program, we'll do that. If it's keeping this one, we'll do that. If it's making a new program, we'll make that happen. But I think we all sort of knew the sort of current setup that we had wasn't working.
Right.
And it was just sort of this shared sentiment that we all kind of understood that. And so the hard part was actually just deciding how to move forward from there and what's the best course of action.
Right. I remember talking to you both at Autumn Classic last year, which had sort of the showcase ice dance teams in Canada.
Yeah.
And you placed third at that event, which was fairly consistent for you. And similar to Hubble and Donahue in the US and their comments early last season about we're a little tired of being the bronze medalist.
Yeah.
You also express some, not frustration, but some real intent that we don't want to stay here. This is, we're not interested.
Yeah.
And sure enough, fast forward, 5 months later, silver medals at Canadian Nationals. How did that feel, and what confidence or boost does that give you heading into this season?
Well, it was something that we've been striving for the last 2 years. We really felt like we were really creeping up the ladder, and we knew what we were capable of, and having last year's Grand Prix season kind of being a roller coaster, not really having the results that we expected from ourselves, it was a little disappointing. But I think we handled it really well, and at the end of the day, we achieved the goal that we were pushing for, and I think it tells a lot about ourselves and our character, like how we can push through some of the toughest times and still reach the goal, and it's sometimes at the most unexpected time, right? We just, at that point, it was like, let's get the program out, let's get to the Olympic, let's do that kind of stuff. So it was just actually a coincidence that we did end up, beating Kate and Andrew, and they skated fine too, but it was just like, it was incredible, and it was an incredible, it was almost like a medal in itself, right? Yep. We felt like we won because we were able to put out a new program and skate it at almost its best ability. We knew that we had a couple more weeks before the games to keep growing, but it felt like we could kind of take a step back and be like, okay, we did that, we accomplished what we came here to do this season, and the rest of the season was just like I don't know, it was just fun. It was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
When the ice dance team in Canada is so strong, is that inspiring? Is it sometimes frustrating? Because
it's a mix of both things.
It's a hard ceiling to get through.
It's a mix of both. On the one hand, it forces us to be better, and it forces us to push ourselves. On the other hand, it can be frustrating to feel stuck to enter competitions knowing you're not the top team from your federation.
Yeah.
I think in the end, you get to choose your own mindset. You don't get to necessarily choose all the other circumstances. So I think in the end, you have to choose the positive and pick the good things about it and just focus, okay, if I don't want to be in this place, I need to be better.
Yep. Okay.
I need to be better than the other couples.
Right.
And that's what you have to think about while you're training every day.
But Virtue and Moore have obviously stepped away, and Caitlin and Andrew are sort of not returning to competitive skating until sort of the second half of the season. Is that something that you even really put thought to? Does it give you a bit of, that you can sort of own the Canadian ice dance message for the first months?
We knew about it, so we knew that we could step into this position as Canada's top team going into the Grand Prix season. We knew that opportunity was coming. So I think both of us have really embraced that. Obviously, Caitlin and Andrew will still be here the second half of the season. So, that doesn't scare us. It doesn't, we're still going to try to do our job at the end of the day and continue being the top Canadian team, which is what we're striving for, and our goal this entire season is to stay on top. And I think we're ready for it. I think we're ready to take ownership of that and, see where where it takes us, really.
So heading into this season, can you talk a bit about your training this summer and how it's going and where you feel you're at?
Yeah, I think training is going extremely well. We took a longer off season than usual, and we really took our time through the choreography process. We didn't rush that. We didn't rush into getting the program sort of competition ready so early in the season like we would normally. Part of that was we just needed the rest after the Olympic season because it was so exhausting.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is also just looking back on previous seasons and seeing some seasons with really good results sort of in the first half of the season through the Grand Prix circuit, and then sort of the excitement about our programs kind of dwindling down. And so I think part of that is us being a little bit more comfortable not having a fully finished product for the first half of the competition season. And so not focusing so much on being competition ready right now, but rather focusing on pushing ourselves and growing and being a bit uncomfortable in the programs. While normally by now we'd be like, we want to be competition ready, we want to be set, we want everything to work. And I think we've allowed ourselves a little bit more flexibility with continuing to be uncomfortable through this first bit of the season and really being on the edge of things in terms of pushing things till we're almost about to fall over kind of thing. And that's kind of been the way we've decided to approach it this year, just because we feel we want to make that last step to being on the world podium, to being Canadian champions, and
Yeah.
we're not going to get there by playing it safe.
No.
Sure. Sadly, earlier this summer, Piper, your mom passed.
Yeah.
How are you doing, and how has that affected your summer?
Like it did make us have a later start than expected. Like we did have our 3 weeks off, and we came back and we started choreography. Got a bit like most of the free dance done, and the short dance was done at that point. And then obviously, I had to go back home and help with the funeral and everything. So it's just been a whirlwind of a summer. Sad, a lot of emotions going through. But skating was a love of my mother's, and I feel like skating every day was kind of my sanctuary. And I had a great unit of people, and this guy over here to help me, and he came back with me, and he just helped me skate when I needed that distraction. Everyone has been there for me and continued to be, and yeah, it's going to be a journey, to kind of continue doing the season and not have my mom, but she has the best seat in the house, really. So, in every arena, she doesn't have to buy tickets, nothing. Like, she's just going to be there. So she can even sit behind the judges if she wants. Like, she'll get the best view.
Right, maybe she can
you won't even see her.
Adjust their penalty.
Oh my God! Yeah, like deduction. Oh, what was that?
Well, my condolences. and Paul, how did it, like, for you, what was it like when Piper came back and knowing that your partner was going through that mourning and that grief and that difficult journey?
Well, I mean, I was with her for the most of it, and I decided we spent a few weeks in Colorado with Piper's family, and that just, I think amidst all the sort of family stuff and the planning and all that, it at least give her an opportunity to skate and feel like she was doing something, and that sort of thing. So I wasn't too far removed from the whole process and the whole thing. I think for me, the biggest challenge was learning how to be the best support possible. I think there's a lot of ways we can support people. We can talk to them, we can listen to them, we can give them advice, we can be quiet. We can distract them by talking about something else or bringing up something else. We can distract them by going to do something. And so for me, I wanted to be the best support I could, and so I had to figure out, like, what does Piper need right now? What does the family need right now? What do people need right now? And that's sometimes a hard thing to navigate, and you don't necessarily know, and you don't want to be asking all the time. Sure. Because that can also put pressure and just be stressful. So, that's pretty much what it was. But I think at the same time, it didn't keep us from doing what we needed to do. And I think at the end, especially after the Olympics, where skating becomes so all-consuming, we also needed to allow ourselves both the time to be people this off-season. And if that meant taking more time off, if that meant needing more time for Piper to be with family and for the family to be together, we knew we had the option to do that. And we knew that was more important than necessarily having a quick and early and breezy start to the season.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Paul, just step a bit more. Perfect. So looking now ahead into the season, can you give us a glimpse into your music choices for the short dance and free dance? Maybe starting with the short.
Okay, so the short is a tango. Everyone is doing
So
tango.
surprising.
Shocker, I know,
You
right?
heard it here first.
And we're doing the tango romantica.
Okay.
I got it right. I always say the Argentine tango, and every day every time Paul's like, you mean the romantica? And I'm like, yeah, it's a tango.
that one.
Sing
And I have to
tango.
correct her because it's me.
Just Paul. So, it's the program is it's a warmer program than warmer tango than our last program, and
Which is your free dance in 2017.
17 Worlds.
Right, yeah.
Yep, so it's a little warmer, a little bit, people can connect with it a little bit more, whereas the last one was more, the connection was so deep between the two of us, like that was it. It was almost like you shouldn't be watching what you're seeing, right?
Completely.
And
It was so intense.
Yeah, it was so intense,
I
and
think
this is kind of the opposite. It's the beforehand, like this is the passionate, this is the heat from the beginning of the relationships, whereas that was almost like 30 years later, right? Paul was like this, he's manly, he's got a lot of testosterone in him, right? And I'm just oh God, this is a beautiful man, like, so it's kind of the beginning of the relationship, and I think this program is going to be really special. Like, we've had a lot of Argentine tango lessons before, so it was really nice to go back to that and do choreography that we enjoy doing, and I think that people will actually really like this program because there's a lot of highs and lows in the music, and it's fast, it's slow, it's fast, it's slow. So I think the rhythm of it, people will really get behind it, and they can feel something from it, and it finishes very strong. So I think it'll be a great vehicle for us this season.
Well, and you're both known for such innovative musical choices and your approach and style of dance. Is that harder when you have a traditional dance that's so well known like the tango to put your own touches on it?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm not sure. I think for us I don't even know what I want to say right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we put a spin. We like to put our own spin on it, but we also like to respect the culture and the
dance,
the authentic of the dance.
And I think that's actually, what might help set us apart with a traditional dance like the tango. It's not actually trying to be super off the wall, but rather being committed to doing a real tango on the ice and trying not to make it skating, but to make it a tango. Right. And that's what we strive to do during the free dance 2 years ago. Is how do we make skating look like what people do on the floor?
Yeah.
And that can be hard because the mechanics are so different.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we can actually differentiate ourselves and distinguish ourselves.
And your free dance.
So we're doing a piece about Van Gogh and his sort of spiral into madness as he paints, which is pretty fun. So it's set to the song Vincent or Starry Starry Night, originally sung by Don McLean. We have a cover by this British busker group called Gogh, who have custom recorded and arranged this piece for us.
How did this take us back? How did this start? What was the history on finding this group?
So it's funny, Carol always has ideas before the season ends, and she always kind of taunts us haha, I know what you're skating to next year, haha, and Paul is a curious soul, so he's always I gotta know, and Carol's I'm not gonna tell you yet, but I guess at the Olympics, Carol was scrolling through Facebook, sometimes you got spare time, and
it does happen.
she came across this
a lot of
this
hanging
group,
around the Olympics,
right?
So.
What do you do? Seriously, you're not having fun or anything like that.
Totally.
It's awful. So she's scrolling through Facebook and she's I don't normally click on all the videos because there's so many things on the internet, right? But she's oh, Starry Night, I like that music. I like that song, so let me click on it. So she clicked on it and she was just mesmerized by these two guys. And so she told us, I think it was right before Worlds maybe, or was it right after Worlds?
It was after Worlds.
Right after Worlds. Okay. And she was I've got this idea about Vincent van Gogh. And Paul and I, a couple years ago, we've actually thought about doing something similar because, I don't know, it had an interesting story. And it was right when the Forgetting Vincent movie came out.
Loving Vincent?
Loving Vincent, there we go, Loving Vincent. And so
Paul, always the corrector. I love it.
Oh, I'm on it.
He keeps me in line, guys.
This is what I do when I watch Jeopardy.
Yeah. He's you're wrong. You're wrong.
Does he have to proofread and approve all your emails, social media?
Oh, for sure. But I do it just in general. I'm hey, Paul, is this email or this text message sound okay? I just go through him, and then he's well, you forgot a comma, or you forgot this.
Copy editor for hire.
Or I'm dyslexic, and I put things in different places. He's you need to put this one here, and I'm yeah, so you got it. But anyway, so after that, we found them on YouTube, and we're okay, how do we get in touch with them? Of course, the internet has everyone, of course, right? So we found their Instagram page. We wrote them on Instagram, and then we connected over email, and then we set up a Skype session. And honestly, I'm sure you never know with artists, right? You don't know how many people contact them on a daily. We're some crazy figure skaters that contacted them, sliding into their DMs, kind of thing. But they were so eager to jump on this opportunity because one, it'll hopefully boost their fan page and get
that's what
them
we want to help them with
exposed. And we're artists. The two of us like to create something new, and that's what they do. So it was just it was a magical. I don't know, it was just a magical idea, and everything has come into play, and they're wonderful people, they're great artists. We almost have this funny bond with them because we're very similar. Right. There's two of them, right? It's not boy-girl, but one is the creator and one is the artist, right? So they have this yin and yang thing, kind of like us. So it's we have this bond with them about them, and we haven't even met them in person yet.
Right. And will you meet them?
Yeah.
They're coming to Nebelhorn.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So you finally have a face-to-face.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what does that dynamics of the process look like? Were you giving them sort of orchestral advice or composition advice?
I mean, we don't know that much about music,
okay.
Right? None of us have any music education. We know what works for dance, and we understand music in the dance sense, but nothing formal about music or anything like that. So it was a several month long process where we just sort of explained. We had heard their cover of Vincent. online, but it was too long. It was all one tempo, not enough variety. So we kind of just threw out a whole bunch of ideas. We said, these are our parameters. It needs to be 4 minutes long. It needs to have a change of tempo. And we sort of gave some ideas like this might work, or this might be good, or this might allow us to do this. So we just threw a whole bunch of stuff out there. And then we had about a month of silence as they were putting this together. And we had no idea how it was going to turn out.
No.
And so finally we did get the piece, and it was wonderful. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't exactly what we needed, but given the fact that they knew nothing about skating, it was pretty darn close.
It's pretty darn close, yeah.
So then there was, maybe about another month of back and forth. Try this, maybe make this part a bit faster, add this instrument there, and then we had an instrumental bit composed. So at first we thought maybe we'll have violin, maybe we'll have a clarinet, and we ended up, or mandolin. So we ended up sticking with the guitar. So it's just guitar the whole way through. Okay. And then at the end, we needed the instrumental bit to be a little bit stronger, so we wanted some percussion added. And that was quite the episode, because Carol had a very clear sense of how she wanted the percussion to sound.
Yeah, she did. It was pretty funny. Like, I have a recording on my phone of Carol, and they were on Skype with Paul, and like she's like da 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 bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong da 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 da.
You should actually like cut that into the actual music. It'd be amazing.
It's so funny.
It's so funny, and like, but they did exactly what she did. It was so funny, and so when they came and Carol was like, they did it. They did it, like they actually did it, and we were like, yeah, like this is great. But they listened. They were so eager to get involved in this project, and I think they invested a lot into it, whereas we've invested a lot into it as well. So it's just, it feels like this collaborative, wonderful mess. It's a wonderful mess, you know? And I feel like because we've put so much energy into it, I feel like people will be able to see that when it's on the ice. They can just see how much energy has gone behind this program, and I really think people will get behind it. And it is a program for the people, and that's just what we've been trying to kind of do. We're going to try to do for the next couple of years, just because we feel like that's what we're here to do. We're here to entertain people, and we really want people to enjoy the skating that we do and create moments. And so this is the start of our program for the people, and it's going to be a very special one.
Program for the people. Are you committing to the next 4 years for the next games?
I think the way when we kind of started this season, we want to sort of take it year by year. Yeah. I think for us, I think we'd be both really happy to be on a world and Olympic podium. And so if we feel like we have the support we need and the right things in place, and we're enjoying that process, I think we're in it. But for now, we're going to get through this year, look at the end of the year, see where we're at emotionally, see what we have left to give, and make a more firm decision at that point.
Excellent. Well, listen, it's been so great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Anyone deserving to be on the World Olympic podium, it's you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Best of luck this next season, and we look forward to this first year for the people.
Thank you.
Thank you.